Lightning talk is JJ. He's going to talk about asymmetric conversations in social networks. So, take it away.
Can you hear me? So I have to confess that I have negative sales and marketing skills. I wouldn't be able to sell a baguette to a group of hungry French people. So about 3 years ago, I thought I had a good idea, and it didn't go anywhere, absolutely anywhere. But this idea led me to another that I'd like to talk to you about today, because I really would like to see this idea, going somewhere. So I talked to Troy yesterday, and I said, look, I have this idea of an asymmetrical conversation model for social networks, and I think Twitter would really benefit from it. And then he said, oh, and I thought, oh, he's going to, pull up his checkbook and, give me some kind of funding to build a prototype. No, that was not it. Maybe he would give me the email of an executive at Twitter. No, that was not it. He said, how about you give a lightning talk about it? So here I am. And so the idea of an asymmetrical conversation is there's a lot of people with lots of followers on Twitter, they're famous celebs or whatever, and it's nearly impossible to have a conversation with them. Occasionally they would respond to you, like Mark Andreessen would like something I write, maybe once in a year. I don't think he ever responded to me. Another guy, Tom Petters, is pretty well known. He responds occasionally, but most people like me cannot have a conversation with those people. It wouldn't make sense. After 2 tweets, I'm exhausted. I have no clue what I would be talking next to him. And anyway, other people want to join in the conversation, and it gets all messy. And that's because today the conversation in social networks is completely symmetric. It's just you tweet, I tweet, and then we don't tweet anymore because there's nothing interesting we can say to each other. So this is the app that I built 3 years ago, and it was supposed to be a personal feedback loop. And the idea would be, you get a handle, like a Twitter handle, and then you can very quickly set up a survey, 3 questions that you answer with stars, and a question that you ask with, and the answer from people would be something like 140 characters. And again, this app didn't go anywhere. I felt it was a pretty good idea, but I couldn't market it, couldn't sell it, and I felt people could use it in restaurants and classes, for talks. There was a lot of usage that people could use it for, but it just didn't go anywhere. But now imagine if I'm somebody with lots of followers and I want to start a conversation, or even the other way around, a follower wants to start a conversation. What's going to happen is you ask 3 questions, and by answering those questions, your followers are going to segment themselves in groups. So because there are 3 questions, 5 possible answers per question, I'll let you do the math, but it's 125 groups that are possible. Most likely you will condense those groups and say, 3-5 personas. And then what you have to do to make an interesting conversation is you just have to have the group of people that was segregated with the answers to the first 3 questions vote on what text you want to send back to the conversation. So that gives an incentive to people to write intelligent answers. And because the group would vote on which answers goes back into the conversation, you probably won't get a lot of bad answers because the group wants just to continue. And anyway, the famous person or the person you're talking to could select which group it wants to continue the conversation with. So there would be a lot of incentive to put crap in the conversation, and each group would itself monitor, what the group wants to tell in the conversation. And in that way, you're able to build an asymmetrical conversation. And I feel, things like Twitter would greatly benefit from it because other people would be interested in following that conversation. It's almost like a collective intelligence tool where you just get the best of, 1,000 people trying to talk to, somebody who's, really good or really used to having interesting conversation. And I feel lots of people would be interested in it. So that's it. That's, I just wish somebody could do something with this because I really would like to see this kind of conversation. All right. Sir?
Oh, it is on. Cool. The next person coming up is Justin, and they scribbled through what he's talking about. What are you talking about?
Code coverage.
Code coverage. There we go. So I'm going to help him set up real quick, and he'll get going.
I don't know. There I am. Hi, Justin Collum. I work for CDK Global. I thought I had to plug them because they paid for me to be here today. So we're going to, hey, do you know how to, sorry. I need to duplicate the screen. I don't know how to do that on a Mac. Do you know how to do that quickly? Let's see, can I do display?
Go to systems, yeah,
Hmm? Yeah, system preferences, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You can bring that up.
Uh-huh.
Display.
Yeah. It's really hard to do this over your shoulder.
Yes. There is, oh, you know what?
Huh?
Hit this.
No. Oh, yeah, there
Move
is.
your mouse over here, hit this, and then it moves to your screen. Oh, you hit it over there.
Yeah. Oh,
So then it put it over there.
okay.
So anyway, go to arrangement.
Uh-huh.
There you go. And then go down to mirror display checkbox.
Thank you.
There you go. All set.
Sweet. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Okay. So just going to do a quick talk about code coverage, which is something that I learned how to do in Node.js just recently. So the library that we're covering is a library that we use in CDK to move data around the organization, but it's built to do a lot more than that, but that's what we use it for right now. And Istanbul is a code coverage tool for Node.js that I find really easy to use, surprisingly easy. So install it with npmi, and it's got a command line interpreter. One thing that I've been doing recently is storing my scripts in package.json, which I will maximize here so everybody can see it. So down here in this scripts tag, this is where I just stored scripts that, scripts that I need to do that are complicated. Like you can see the coverage plus build script here it does a lot of stuff, right? Now it's not part of our build process, but it's really handy to have that locally for it does X and then Y and then Z, and I don't have to go find it in my terminal history to make that run. So the process is write all your tests, which I have a lot of them over here. It's a big library, so it has many tests over on the side over here. So back to the talk. So I write in CoffeeScript because I love CoffeeScript, and I'm struggling with the transition over to ES 2015 and try to figure out how I'm going to make that happen. So there's a lot of transpilation that goes on. So transpile your code, then transpile your tests, and I find that that's important because I want to transpile, I want to run the tests on the stuff that is going to go in my distributable package, not on my, I don't want to test my CoffeeScript because I want to make sure that I'm actually testing the stuff that's going to be done, going to be delivered. So we call Istanbul to actually write to cover the Mocha test. So I'm writing all the tests in Mocha. Istanbul knows how to talk to Mocha. So we run it. We do our transpilation. It's pretty easy to see, right? Lots and lots of tests fire off. And you can see that at the end I got a very basic coverage summary here. So I'm sitting at about an average of 80-something%, which I feel like is a pretty good number. That's a very subjective topic. What is an appropriate amount of code coverage? Okay, so here's the coverage overview. Let's see if I can get this to be a little bit bigger for people. Okay, coverage overview, right? And then I get into each of the individual JavaScript steps, or what these things are called, and I can see where the warnings are, and I can see things like, okay, this is an else statement warning. Else path was not covered by my tests, and this one down here. If you have to hover these over, but you get it real quick. This if path is not covered by any of my tests, and that's about it. So it's actually really easy to use, and you know, I put it in package.json because we're finding this command line, or I don't want to have to grep my command line history, right? Supposedly, Istanbul will, this line right here, this experimental code coverage, supposedly Istanbul will tie into a compiler like an AtScript or a LiveScript or a TypeScript compiler. I've never gotten that to work. So they say it works. I don't think it does. And it's one of those where you put it on the GitHub issue and nobody responds. So it's supposed to work, doesn't seem to work. That's it. Any questions? Okay.
Excellent, sir.
Lightning.
Thanks, Justin. Also, thanks, JJ. We got one more lightning talk right now. This is Blaine, and he's going to talk about his toolkit, productivity tools. So, here you go.
Can you guys hear me? No? That good? There we go. So I was just going to talk over my toolkit real quick. This is actually a Node conference, but a lot of my tools are not really Node specific. More of them are just productivity tools to help you kind of go along your day. They can really be applied to most developers. The very first one I'm going to talk about is one password. I'm sure most of you guys have passwords, and that's a normal thing. But what you probably don't realize is how many passwords you have. So I used to have this strategy of like getting a base password and then scribbling in some like parts of the website URL, parts of the date, so I can change it frequently or whatever. Turns out that's hard to do. I started storing my passwords in 1Password, which is like a little vault thing for your passwords. I have around 150 passwords. Like, I had no idea I had that many passwords. I have it pulled up real quick just to give you like I'm not lying to you guys. I have 146 right there. You can see there's all different things about them. This tool is really clever. It does a lot of nice things for you, where it has different categories, but at the very, very bottom it has things about how old are your passwords, how weak are your passwords, do you have any duplicate passwords? You can click on those categories and get some really nice feedback about where you need to improve things. Because this syncs in Dropbox or AirDrop or wherever you really want that, it allows you to have this on your phone, have this in different places, really everywhere you need to be. So I think this is one of the best tools any developer can have inside their toolbox. Another interesting one is Alfred. I'm sure some of you guys, or at least most of you guys are on Macs. I see a few non-Macs out there, but this one's specifically a Mac tool. It kind of works like Spotlight, but it's a lot more developer focused. I know a lot of developers, you get like those things you need to do quite frequently, and you end up making scripts, and then how do you run those? You start getting them in the terminals, you make like a bunch of like bin files that just kind of run things we need to. But this allows you to kind of like run them from without any kind of terminal. So you basically hit like some command key, get Alfred up here. It does all kinds of stuff. One of the cool things I like doing is just, you can see on my Chrome there, I don't have any bookmarks showing, but I actually have a few hundred bookmarks. I can just type in a little prefix key, and this is something that I created. I can just search for font awesome, and here's like the first thing is font awesome. This is a plugin that I made that helps me search through my hundreds of bookmarks. You can make all kinds of plugins like this just to help your productivity and just to help you go faster without needing to like think about where do I need to go next. It's like, oh, it's muscle memory. It's really easy to do. The last one I want to talk about is Teammate. And this is more of a terminal thing. If you guys aren't like super like Tmux Vim users, this probably won't be too relative to you guys. But this allows you to, and I'll do a demo of this real quick, allows you to have like a pairing session inside the terminal with Tmux. So if I actually open up terminal, and I say something like Teammate, so let me get a second one open. It gives me like this, connection problems. And you get like this SSH token key at the bottom. I'll make this a little bigger. And then the other person throws that SSH key in there. They can start typing on the same thing. So you can just say, oh, I want to go to my projects for exorcism right here. And they're both kind of going in that same thing. So throw two people on a phone, do this kind of thing. It's not lagging like Screen Hero might be doing, but it allows you to do normal pairing stuff. And because it's Tmux, you can get your splits. Those are shared between the different screens, and you can do everything you need to do that you normally would be doing while you're pairing. So those are the three tools I wanted to kind of go over, and that's it for me. Thank you.